All right, so I just started it, and I think most people that watch my content, like most people in the community and stuff, are, I think between bronze and plat, kind of in that area, and so I think
Mhm.
that a lot of this stuff is gonna transfer. Um, okay, so the matchups that we have here is kind of the first thing that we want to go over because like you can't have a good early game if you
Mhm.
just get destroyed on your first clear. Or if like
Mhm.
there's a lane that you're supposed to be playing around that you don't and the enemy jungler does, or vice versa. Like that's really impactful to the early game. And so we'll just go through the matchups real quick here. I'll ask you what you think, and we'll kind of troubleshoot this together. So top
Okay.
lane, what do you notice there in that matchup? Kind of from like the, and I think that we kind of talked about how to look at lane matchups in the last session. So if you use that framework, like what do you notice in top?
I don't know as much about Olaf being played top lane. It's like if it was like a kind of recent phenomenon popularized by Tyler One, at least at my elo.
Mm-hmm.
But well, I know that like Renekton's a lane bully, and Renekton wants to snowball. Um, and then he's got CC. He's just got his axe basically in his flash until he hits six.
Mm-hmm.
So that so that lane priority, at least top lane, should be going in my favor. Um,
Yeah.
Mid lane,
Oh, and
it's like
we'll just go one at a time. So
okay,
top lane, yeah, you're right. I'd say these are both snowbally champs.
right,
That like they both want to get ahead in lane and then snowball through
mhm,
that.
okay,
And with and they're both melee is something that you pointed out, and so they're going to be like trading on top of each other. And another thing with melee champions is that you, as Sejuani, um, really like melee matchups. Like ganking for melees, that just adds to your CC. It's a lot. It just gives you a lot more setup, and so
mhm,
that means top lane is like pretty good for you to gank. Like you know that they're going to be trading, they're going to be right on top of each other because they're both melee,
mhm,
and that also Khazix is probably going to look at this also. But I would favor you guys in the 2v2. It's like it could go either way, but I like the Renekton crowd control and also his ability to stack your passive. I think that you guys win out because they have no crowd control early on. So
mhm,
I think that if you guys lock down the same target, you should be able to win 2v2. And so
right,
this is a good lane to look at, especially because of what happens right here. There's the flash is forced. So um, the flash gets forced out for Olaf. And so that makes this even better. And that's a bummer that Thresh missed that. That was going to be a kill. So that makes your top lane even better because Renekton has a dash on a 18-second cooldown. So he gets at least one dash. If he has empowered stacks, he gets two
mhm,
dashes if he goes through a minion. I'm pretty sure is how it works. I don't play him. But
mhm,
and then Olaf has nothing. He literally has no dash, no gap close. He
mhm,
can't do anything. If you show up, all he can do is throw an axe at you and try and run away. And
mhm,
so that's kind of another thing to look at. So if you have another matchup, like if you have a Kale against the Camille, burning the Kale's flash is much more valuable than burning the Camille's flash because Camille still has
mhm,
a gap close. She still has a dash. She still has mobility. But Kale, her
mhm,
only mobility is on her flash. And so if you find the opportunity to trade your flash for an immobile person's flash, then it's worth it. Like that's a good trade because the immobile champion's flash is more valuable than the mobile champion's flash. And so this is
right.
a big deal that you burn that. Um, and then in jungle, what do you see your role as of like how you want to play out the jungle?
Um, I I think I want to play like where Kha'Zix isn't. I don't want to skirmish with them, because he's gonna. I I feel like when I play Kha'Zix, he's really strong. So I just feel like unless I could like stall for time and get like a
Mm-hmm.
stun off, then he'll kill me in the 1v1.
Yep.
So,
Definitely, I agree with that. That you don't want to be 1v1ing him with his isolation damage. So if you do get in a situation like a Harry situation, all you want to do is like stack your E passive, stun him, and then walk away. And you can Q
mhm,
like, especially if you can Q over a wall or something. So in that
mhm,
situation, saving your Q is very important in like a 1v1 with Kha'Zix,
mhm,
so that you can like get away from him if you need to. Hopefully
mhm,
he doesn't have his E up as well. But it is, yeah, it's pretty risky. And so you prefer the team fighting, and he prefers the one-on-ones, like invading you and stuff like that. And
mhm,
then mid lane, to kind of I guess, speed things up to make sure we're getting through all of it. Diana, she has a gap close, but she can only go in with it. So she doesn't have any escapes except for her flash. And Syndra is likely going to be pushing in. And so what that means is because she has the wave clear advantage. So Syndra just has the Q, she has the spam wave clear abilities like AoE, so she can be pushing pretty easily. And Diana has good follow-up, one because she's melee, two because she has that dash that can take her in. And so you have the ability to get on top of Syndra because all Syndra has is the one denial ability. She has her E. And so that's all that she has. So Syndra will likely be pushing this wave in, but Diana will have kill pressure, and you'll be able to follow up really well on it because she's a melee. So you can, like, mid is also a decent ganking lane, especially once you hit 6. And then bot lane, they aren't really in danger. Thresh and Victor. Victor has his gravity well, and then Thresh has lantern, flay, Q. They have a lot of tools for disengage. And I mean, Ashe and Twitch, they don't have anything for engage. Like, they shouldn't be able to hard engage and like all in the Victor and Thresh until they hit level 6 with Ashe Arrow. And even if Khazix shows up, they have no hard CC between the three of them. Victor and Thresh should be relatively safe throughout the lane phase. And so with that being said, what lanes are you thinking that you should path around or path towards?
Probably top and mid.
Yep, 100%.
But I don't think that's how I played it that much.
You wanted to. You kind of wanted to. I saw it in you. And something with your clear efficiency, that it might just be like a Sejuani thing. You're getting used to the champ. And I put a video out on this that helps with her clear. It's actually specifically on her clear. You want to use your E to cancel the buff's auto attacks whenever possible. So when you have the full passive stacks, you want to use that when the buff is going for its wind up. So like as it's going up for its auto attack,
as it's raising its arms, gotcha.
Because then it'll stun it, and then once you break the stun, it'll restart its animation. And so basically, it only gets in like half as many auto attacks as it should be if you're stunning it at good times. And also the cadence for when you use your W is you want to auto first, and then use your W, and then auto again, because you'll have the full 4 stacks. Because if your W applies 2 passive stacks, and we saw that Khazix started his red buff because they showed late and Olaf showed on time. So you want to auto and then use your W to get 2 stacks, so it's up to 3, and then use your last auto to apply the 4th stack. Because if you auto it up to 3 stacks and then you use your W, you're wasting one part of your W as it applies stacks, if that makes sense. Like you're overkilling your passive.
Okay, I jotted that down. Okay, cool.
And I have all my notes here too that I'm going to include in the video description. So don't feel like you have to get everything.
All right, no worries.
Okay, right now, what do you notice about the lanes?
So Renekton is like, he's feeling comfortable, so he went to ward because he's pushing in, he's playing aggressive like we thought. I guess he's trying to get that early ward for at the entrance to the river from blue. Diana is pushing up a little bit. Syndra's playing towards her tower. Looks like Diana's kind of pushing the wave with her. Is it her Q?
And then, I think so.
And bot is kind of even, but they're.
Yeah, that's just irrelevant.
But it looks like it's it's bouncing back towards them, but I wasn't paying attention to them.
Yeah, it is bouncing back towards them, but you don't need to look at a lane that's like on the other side of the map unless they start fighting or something. Especially since we designated them as like a kind of a who cares lane. So and you have these 2 wards here. So these wards are actually pretty smart by your laners. I mean, I'm kind of surprised at this because this is what elo is this? This low gold.
Yeah, it is a gold 4 game, if I recall correctly.
But I mean, they're getting good ward timings. So these are good because we know that Khazix is pathing towards the top side. This is to defend Renekton. Like, he's shoved, but he has this, and then she is also shoved. Realistically, a Khazix gank should not work on either of these people. Like, he doesn't really have a way. Up here, he doesn't have CC anyway. Here, he needs the Syndra to set it up, and she still has her flash. So what this tells me is that you're safe to just like farm it out. And so what I would prefer to see here, now knowing that like your 2 lanes are relatively safe, and if Khazix shows up top, you'll have a long time to react and to come counter gank it, is to clear the Raptors first. Because if you clear your red buff, then you're stuck either going up here and then walking back down to your Raptors, or if you clear, or actually that's basically the only option of like, if you clear this, then you're forked between these two. Like either way, it's going to be inefficient to clear both of them. But if you start here, then you can clear in a straight line up to top. As you watch this develop, and as you wait for the scuttle crab spawn, you just clear up here, and then you can look for a gank or a counter gank if Khazix decides to walk over like a ward, or if he's looking mid. But this guarantees that you rinse all of your first camps, because your Sejuani, like you want to set up your power farming, because your AoE is very strong. You want to get to level 6. You're trying to do a full clear because you don't struggle on the AoE camps, and this will help you outpace Khazix. And so that's how you like start to gain those level advantages early on, is your full clearing, unless you have a reason to get here quickly or to get here quickly. But we don't have a reason to get there quickly right now.
I have a quick question. So I guess last time we talked about pathing into a corner, and like, you know, pathing Wraiths, red, Krugs would kind of like funnel me topside. And then you're saying in this situation, it doesn't matter as much because both of my laners are protected from vision and both of them are pushed up. So theoretically, they shouldn't, like you said, I'll have a lot of time to react.
So they're protected because of their vision and also because of who Khazix is as a champion. He doesn't have super lethal ganks early on. It could potentially, like if this was an Elise, then it might be a little bit different, but you still have the like lead time that you can respond to the ganks. But on the first clear, this is an okay, and part of what my like pathing into corners, that is like you can path into a corner if you have a reason to. So like understanding what pathing into a corner does. So if you path into this corner up here, you're set up for top lane. Like top lane is the only lane you can influence for the time being, and that's okay actually. In this scenario, it's okay that you've pathed into like top lane is the only one that you can influence, because that's where Khazix is also pathing into. Like he's pathing towards top side as well. And so pathing up into the Krugs will still set you up for, you could look, I mean, I'm not recommending this, but you could look for a lane gank. You could look for a counter gank if Khazix comes through river. You could go straight into the scuttle. And so this isn't pathing into a corner where your top laner has reset and dragon is spawning like that, because that's like a really bad corner to path into. But this is okay because you have a reason to be in this area and you don't lose out on much efficiency. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. And another thing, like as you're clearing up, this keeps your options open because you can look for the scuttle, you can influence top, or if Khazix shows up here for some reason, like if he ganks top and dies or whatever, or you can see him like take scuttle and recall, and for whatever reason you don't want to take scuttle, you can reset and then come back out to your bot lane. Bot side, you can take this, like take the other scuttle crab and have your bot camps coming up off of their first timer. And he does show up here, and right now he has 12 CS and he's level 2. What camps does that tell you that he did? And he had double buffs.
Is it the double buffs and wolves maybe?
It means he either did wolves or raptors, because Gromp would have gotten him level 3 if he took that, and he wouldn't take Krugs because he pathed into the top side. So he took red, blue, and then he took either wolves or raptors. And so you know that either wolves or raptors are still available.
Okay.
Oh man, I keep on hitting the Khazix's button. Okay, so he just died, and that's an example of why I would like you to keep the options open, because like once he dies, I don't know if he's going to TP straight back in, but once he dies, you're like, okay, maybe top isn't the best place to go. Like we'll see how that develops, but this is kind of like a stalling move, stalling clear. If you clear all the way up, then it buys you time to see how the lanes play out, and you would have that information. Because when you come back down here, now going up to Krugs is really bad, because you would have to walk all the way across to get up there. And so your only options are basically like scuttle, or you could try to influence one of these lanes. And when Khazix shows up here, I think in the other pathing scenario, you would have been finishing up red here and about to start your Krugs. In which case, when he contests this, you're like, okay, that's fine. I'll clear this, then I'll reset and come back out here. And she has a ward, so I'll just ping her to be safe, and like she shouldn't get ganked. But they kind of talk you into this, like coming up here, and he channels the TP. Even if he doesn't TP here, I'm not a huge fan with like how strong Olaf is early, because knowing that Renekton's coming off a death timer, he has to immediately TP in and like burn that cooldown. In which case they can all just back away, but you burn the cooldown. But if he doesn't, and if he does something like this, then you guys will lose the 3v2 if like everyone collapses like they should.
Yeah, and he already got it by the time that I came over.
Yeah, he already cleared it. And then you lose out on everything. Because if you had cleared this and then reset, you could already be walking down here, right. I'm pretty sure. Let me see how the timing on that works out. Yeah, if you... So you'd be finishing red like right about now. And then you'd be on Krugs. We'll say you're like finishing Krugs right about now, channeling, and then you're like walking out now. But you would have a little bit more gold to spend, and you'd be stronger. And you catch him on this ward here, and you could actually go and contest his Raptors. But going over to this other Scuttle Crab is a really good response on that, because you want to make sure that he doesn't get both Scuttle Crabs. And once you transition out of the top side, you know, like there's not much up here. There's no camps for you. There's no camps for him. And so you transition over here, and you know that you have your bot side camps respawning. So you want to start, like, get back over here and start clearing as soon as possible on the leveled up camps. So Thresh is dead. There's nothing to do bot side. You do end up trying to force something down here, though. And then he gets that kill. Cool. Nice. So I'm just wondering what you saw, or like why you went for this play down here instead of like full clearing back up. What the thought process was.
I don't know. I guess when I jungle, I find a lot of success in lane ganking. So I just wanted to wait around here because I knew that Khazix had we saw him go down towards like his wolves or going to the other side on his Raptors. So I thought that he might reset and head towards the bot lane since they were being pushed up.
Right.
So I was just waiting around.
And because this is guaranteed to push back. If nobody touches the wave, this will push back into Victor and Thresh because of where the lane is, right? And so that's a good reason to go bot, is like it's going to be pushing back in. You can set up the lane gank. So like your situational awareness that this is a situation where a lane gank could work is spot on. I think that what doesn't make it work is the matchup. That you have Thresh and Victor, so neither of them can proc your passive. They don't have, like, you can't dive the Ashe Twitch. It's too early on. If you had ult, then potentially, but it's really hard to, I don't think they're going to give you an opportunity to catch them back here. Twitch still has his flash up, so it would be pretty hard to force something in this area. Maybe if you had like a Leona or like an Alistar, that they could do something like that. But with a Thresh Victor, it's just not looking likely. Also, we have to keep in mind what we talked about early on, that this lane is pretty safe. The Thresh has Lantern, Flay, and Q. And then the Victor has his Gravity Well. And so they have quite a few abilities that they can use. Twitch and Ashe have no true like hard CC engage. Khazix doesn't have any hard CC engage. And so if you just leave them here and Khazix ganks, what I would rather you do is understanding like the nature of the matchup, that they'll probably be fine. Even if that does happen, is to put yourself in a situation where you can get something else on the map. Like where you could invade his top side and get vision down or steal camps, like counter jungle, or that you could gank top side, or that you could gank mid lane for him showing in the bot side. just and this would be a different situation if the Khazix was something like an Elise. If it was something like an Elise and these guys were pushed in, like absolutely, this would be a good counter gank to look for. But because it's Khazix, it's like his ganks aren't that scary early on. It's more like his team fighting. That's more frightening. But I like the recognition of like this is a lane state that you can look for the lane gank with where the wave was, because it is pushing back out. All right. And then this back timer was rough. I have to go back and look at if the wolves were spawning, like how soon the wolves were spawning, because I think I would have rather watched you clear this. Yeah, this was up by the time you finished the Grom, so I would have rather you finish this and then come up here and take the clear wolves the as well to make sure that you can get your Sunfire, because that just makes your I mean, for clearing the whole quadrant as like a fundamental, but also for getting your power spike, because you need 1100 for your Sunfire. That would have gotten you the 1100, and then you could reset, get back on the map with like a pretty good power spike. But instead, you burn. We're gonna count it. It's like 25 seconds, 30 seconds, and you aren't able to get that power spike. You're on 2 ruby crystals, which feels really bad. Yeah,
it was just unproductive. I wasn't even getting XP because the lane was so pushed.
So and then you just come over and do that anyway. So if you did that first, I think it would have saved about a full minute. Like a full minute of efficiency. Then you would clear your top side. So like you would already be in your top side, and you would be set up for the scuttle, set up to influence top lane, because this lane is shoving in. That would be really good timing, because Olaf would be overextended and he's still not level 6, because at 6 it gets a lot harder for you to do much in the lane, except for burn his ult and then repeat. And so I think that was a significant tempo loss down here. Any questions on any of this stuff so far?
No, I think I'm following everything.
Sweet.
Just going for that scuttle was super greedy when I wonder what I'm trying to remember what I was thinking. I think I saw Renekton TP, and I thought he was TP like in the base. I thought he was TPing towards the ward in the river, but then I saw it was bot, and by then it was like he already got the scuttle. It was too late.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and at that point, I think like if you changed the clear up and just did the full clear up, I just said clear up like twice in the same sentence. That sounded really dumb. So if you just cleared from Raptors up to Krugs, I think that would have helped you quite a bit with making that decision. It would have kind of stalled out, bought you some time, and then you could have made a more educated decision after you saw everything that happened up top and then the TP. Okay, right here, this is a mechanical thing. So Khazix is going for the gank. This is really, really good that you're in the area. I imagine that you were probably walking through here to go impact top lane, which I think is also like, that's really good. I would have liked to see that. So like your thought process was good. And so you see the Khazix here, and then what I want you to do on your ganks is to hold your Q, like hold your abilities until they've used theirs, unless someone is like about to die any second. And she's 3/4 health. Syndra has no mana and is 1/3 health. And so I don't think death is like imminent for her with a level 4 Khazix. Like she can survive an initial burst and still put out damage, especially since she's 6. And so you don't need to be like, oh, I need to save her right here, right now. Like I need to be there immediately. And so you can hold your abilities and see how it plays out. So we'll imagine that you held your abilities, and it plays out quite a bit differently than how it does in reality. So Khazix uses his jump straight off. So he uses his jump straight off, and they get her down to like maybe half health. And I would have liked for you, instead of using your Q here, because he wasn't in range for you to CC, and you have to assume that he has his jump, and so he can just jump away from it.
Right.
Instead, I like to see you walk up to where about where you are right now, and then flash on top of Khazix, and then you use your W, or you could use your Q. But you have both of your abilities up. So you flash to close the gap, and you don't use your Q to close the gap, because your Q counts for CC and gap close. Your flash is just gap close. So I'd rather see you commit the flash so that you still have both of your CC tools available. But because you Q'd, you don't have that extra CC to help you stack your passive. And so if you flash on top of Khazix right here, you know that he's already jumped. You can get the other 3 stacks of your passive super easily. Like you flash on top of him, and then you can auto W, or you can just W auto, and then you'd get your passive stack. You like 100 to 0 him, and she helps also. And so you kill the Khazix, and then you would still actually have your Q up to follow the Syndra, or if he tries to flash away, you could Q to follow his flash. And so you just be a little bit more efficient on the gank if you flashed in, because you end up having to walk over anyway. And
right.
She like burns down because he spent all this time not being CC'd. So like you Q'd, and then you have to walk all the way over here anyway. But if you like walk and then flash and get the passive stacks, then he's CC'd sooner. He's not doing damage to her. And also you'd still have your Q up. So that's just like a mechanical thing. And then he has to flash anyway because your W comes back off cooldown. It's fine to leave this wave because it's pushing back into her. I like the reaction to look on the map and to go for the top scuttle crab that's spawning. Yeah, I don't think you need to do this because she's coming back out, and also she has TP. So she can just go fix the wave right away. Okay, now this, you want to use your W to push the camps towards where you're pathing to next. So when you're on the Gromp, you can walk behind it and then use your W to push it this direction. Push it up towards your wolves, or if you're ganking bottom, you push it down. You push it down towards try because you're going down there. But whatever you're doing, use your W to help with your kiting. So push the scuttle up towards, because you're pathing into this. Since I think he used his ultimate before, Renekton is coming back. This looks doable. And so you want to use your W to push it towards him, because you end up losing some time by pushing it. You push it up, and then it walks back towards this way, and then you have to follow it. And also, if you're trying to clear for speed, like if you're trying to smite the scuttle crab for speed, and you have a champ that has CC, you want to CC it first and then use your smite, because scuttle crab takes true damage, or it takes bonus damage. I think it takes bonus damage and true damage when it's hard CC'd. Yep. So if you saved your smite until after you CC'd it with your E, it would like 100 to 0 it. It would already be dead, but now you have to spend another 3 autos to kill it, 4 autos. And so basically, 1, W it towards your next target, and then CC it, like smite when it's CC'd to get the bonus damage, and you would probably already be like in this bush right here, and it's a much better angle. But instead, it took a little bit too long, and he's gonna get out. But I like the look.
All those inefficiencies just build up, you know.
yeah, it's like all
minutes.
It's just all small things. And another thing is that like this camp still hasn't been cleared. So if we cleared it on the first time, that would have been much better, because this is just sitting here kind of rotting. But then what's your reason for resetting here? I won't tell you if it's good or bad. I'm just wondering.
I mean, I didn't see anything that I could do. Like, I didn't want to waste time in lane again like I did bot. So I just wanted to go my buff. So, and then drag was up soon, if I recall correctly.
Yep, drag is spawned.
Yeah, so I wanted to just go to my buff and then look mid or bot.
Yeah, I like I think the main reason that I think of is that your buff is respawned, and then that means that you know his is respawned also. And if you like, there's potential that since you showed topside that he could go for the Drake, or that he could go for the invade. With the lane states, I think they would have to misplay for him to be able to do that, and Diana's playing smart and hovering it, but not all your laners are always going to be in a good spot. So when you do show top like that, you have to understand that opens you up on the opposite side of the map for counterplay. Right. And so this negates that. For the most part, taking an immediate recall will negate that. But if your camps weren't up down here, you'd be like, okay, that's fine. He can go invade. So there's something there's another option that I think you could have gone for this invade. So you have the timer on his blue buff. You just made the Olaf reset, and then mid lane. Let's see, she has ultimate, and I think that Diana is playing a little bit more proactively than the Syndra, so she could probably come over here. You have the scuttle crab for a little bit of escape, but I think that also, since you just hit 6, I think that the invade is very doable at this point, and bot lane is pretty safe. They have these wards, 1, 2, 3 wards, and they're disengaged that we've talked about. And so and the other part of that is knowing that your blue buff is up and his red buff is up, he probably went to clear it as soon as it spawned, right? And so it's a safe bet that he's on the bottom side of the map, in which case Olaf backing makes this a 3v2. Like best case scenario for the enemy team, this is a 3v2 on top side. Renekton can come down, Diana can come down, and then it would just be Syndra and Olaf, and they would be losing out on XP in the lanes. And with your ultimate, you could definitely, like, that's a power spike you want to play around, and you could blow somebody up like around the blue buff. In which case, if he invades you on the bot side, you're like, that's fine, I'll take your whole top side. You won't be able to gank my bot lane because they're champions, and then I can go take the Herald when it spawns, and I'll trade that for the Drake. So that's another option that you would have had. I think that you can justify either one, but you can't justify walking back out towards top lane here.
Yeah.
See, he shows down there, and nothing has changed from like the 40 seconds ago, except that you reset and you got your Bomby Cinder. So you could just go for the invade here. The lane state is still very, very similar. Olaf is a little bit closer to lane now, but Khazix is bottom and won't be able to gank bottom, because that wave's going to reset, and also you still have the ability to invade up here, knowing that the camps are coming up. And that's the first clear of these. That's a bummer, because there's a lot of XP in Gromp, and you take them, or in Krugs, and you take them really well. So yep, she spotted you out. She should have hawkshotted this instead, but so now that you have 6, you want to look for a place to invest it into. She gets the solo kill. It's a bummer that this resets. I'd like to see you, before moving to a play, always check if there's anything that you can do about it, like move your camera over it first.
Okay.
So once you see them start fighting, then your camera just goes over to mid lane, and you're like, okay, what's going on? Okay, she got the, oh, there's like literally nothing that I could do. I'm just gonna finish my buff. Like, if you had the camera over it, it would have been hopefully pretty clear that, like, yeah, she's got 2 HP and Khazix is right there. Not much is gonna happen. Then you just continue your clear down, and you don't lose out on anything. All right, so we're looking up top. And he's healing a lot. So this gank comes down to gank angle. I'm okay with going for this top because we already identified that as the win condition, right? Or like your lane condition of what you want to do in the lane.
Right.
And it's looking a little bit bad right now because he's fallen behind in CS, but he's still 2-2. So this is gankable. He doesn't have his ult available. I don't know if that was communicated or not, but either way, he doesn't have it. And so what you did here in taking the blast cone the wrong direction, probably it cost you the kill. So you're taking the blast cone over here, which this would make sense if you were the opposite side jungler. Like if you were on Olaf's team, this would make sense because then you dodge any vision that's right here. But when you're ganking the Olaf, if you hop over here, you still have to walk through try. Like you still have to walk through this alley. But if you blast cone over, knowing that when you saw Khazix, he was like, I think he was pretty low, but he exited towards bottom side, I'm pretty sure. If you blast cone over this direction, all Renekton has to do is like live for another 5 seconds, and then you walk this way. So if you showed up, like the first time that you would show for Olaf is in this area right here, versus if you blast cone over, the first time, if he has this warded, the first time he would see you is right here. And there's a big difference in like this attack angle versus this attack angle. Like it's a huge difference in basically you can play this one really slow. This one you go for a max range R, which if you just blast cone over and walked, you could walk up to him and start autoing, stack your passive, use your E, use your R, and just lock him down 100 to 0. You might not even need to use your ultimate with how much time you have coming from this angle. Does that make sense with like the angle of attack?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because I think that's what costs you getting the kill here. Because if you land the R, like no doubt, that's a kill.
Yeah,
Or an easier kill.
Yeah.
Because you might not need to use the R. And what it does is it wastes time up top. And so like the more time that you're up here, the more time Khazix has to do stuff in your bottom jungle.
Right.
Or on dragon or ganking bot.
I'm probably at like 4 or 5 minutes wasted, like cumulatively already. Like,
right.
I mean, I don't mean I would have been there like at 5 minutes, but I just.
I'm okay with using the QR combo because using the Q kind of disguises the R animation. But I don't think there was a need to. Like you could have walked to this corner and Q'd over the wall diagonally. Also, if he wants to avoid you guys, he has to take the long route. Like he has to walk around this way, and you can straight line like to the turret, and you'll always catch him because he has no gap close. Like he has no mobility. All right, and then the reset here. Hopefully, your options are actually. Do you remember if you saw that in game?
The
blast cone.
The scrying.
Yeah, that.
Orb or
Yeah,
whatever?
scrying. Yeah, the scryer. Yeah, there's a question mark thing.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that you guys could go in and like bully this kid. You could crash it and then go take the Rift Herald. You could crash it and then roam mid lane. There's a lot of options with Olaf dead of what you could do.
I think overall I was just playing too scared of Khazix.
That you were?
Yeah, like, because it wasn't really like a 1v1 scenario when you tally up the times that like Renekton had like giga priority or forced Olaf out of lane.
I'm good with this play too, though. He showed top lane. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he showed somewhere in here.
He tried to kill Renekton.
Yeah. And so then that opens up bot lane. Let's see. She roams over. She's hitting turret. Nothing good's going to happen here. So you can invade for vision because we can see that the camps aren't up. But you could go like check for counter jungling because if Khazix shows up right here and you're in this bush, like if he tries to face check this, then you can just take half of his health and Diana's there to respond also. You could even get a kill out of it and get wards down in this area. And then if you do chunk him, that is just a free Drake. Like if he has to reset or if he can't contest, it's a free Drake. But I like that you're skipping, like when you reset, you didn't just go straight to these camps. I really like that. I like that a lot. Because a lot of the times that's somebody's immediate reaction is like, okay, I'm going to reset. Okay, what camps do I have up? No, like Khazix is top. We got a window. We got some time to work with. Like what can we take of like neutral objectives or like enemy objectives? How can we abuse the information that he gave us of showing top? So this is good. I think that you go for some counter vision here. No. That's all right. It's not the end of the world. So you start this up. You got vision control first. I'm good with this. She has priority. Super easy to move. I think that's fair. That's respectful. And I'm always going to be okay with this respectful play of like you don't know who else is here. Like Twitch could roam over. You don't have Thresh there yet. Hey, were you trying to give her a blue buff?
Yeah, I kept pinging her to come over, but she didn't want it. I guess because they're skirmishing, and then if I did the map glance like you talked about earlier,
yeah, she would need to crash that.
Saved a couple of seconds.
Yeah, she would need to crash the wave to be able to do that. So let's see. with that, I think I would go clear wolves and then catch the wave mid because Syndra's going to shove this. I don't know if... Yeah, I don't think you have time to full clear and catch the wave. But that's a lot of XP and gold that we're missing out on, like, as a team. That's just getting denied. And then they have vision set up, and they could just lead from this. And so I would prefer to see catch the wave, and then play around the top side. Like if Khazix takes this, which you see that he's taking it, you could respond with a gank on top, or you can just take the Rift Herald, drop it top, you get first turret. And that congratulations, you got a Cloud Drake. Nobody cares. We got like 600 gold. All right, let's see. It's been a little bit since you... Oh, wait. No, actually, you only had 900 on that back. I think that's most of it, like as far as the early game goes, of kind of what we've identified, that it's just mostly pathing stuff. And I think that there were opportunities that you could have gone and played weak side, or like just given up something on top for a Khazix, and it would have catapulted you ahead with like full clearing your bot side, or you get a scuttle crab, and you could even look for an invade if he sticks around top lane. But you didn't put yourself in a position to do that. Instead, it was kind of just like you were around here because he was around here, and you were like, oh, I should contest that, but you didn't ask about like what else you could be doing or what other options might be just as good.
I just like pigeonholed myself when I made my game plan, like, so it was just flawed from the get-go. Instead of playing around, I should play around Renekton more. It gave me a lot of leeway to do stuff in Kha'Zix's blue side.
And you pigeonholed yourself correctly, at least, into the Renekton versus Olaf matchup being super coin flippy and like very volatile. But that different clear would have given you more options to opt out of it. So it's basically like getting on a train that has one end destination, or getting on a train that has like 3 destinations on the way but has the same like end one. You always want to take the one that has like more options to hop off at good places if like the city that you're going to is on fire when you're like halfway through, or like if it's all of a sudden not a desirable place to go. Like you have options to hop off the train, instead of being like, that's where we're going and my pathing, like that's the only efficient option is for me to do that now, which is kind of what you did with taking the red buff first. But you made the right decision in like where you were pathing to, in my opinion. And then were there other things you want to talk about? Like we have time that we could go over like a little bit of the, there were some hacker room games in there, or did you have like specific, questions later in this game or on anything else in general? I mean, it's your time.
No, the game kind of like falls apart here, and I make some desperation plays, and everyone tilts. So
love it.
Yeah, you know how it is. But no, I think it's just jungling fundamentals, and then like I just kind of got by like just playing with my friends and like communicating. But it's just when you're solo, right? You have to have those fundamentals down. If you want to just pick an interesting looking hack room game.
Wow. Look at that. He almost came back. That's crazy.
I really like Heckram. So you can choose a game that
Okay, there's a throw at 10 minutes. Let's see what happens there. And then there's another throw at 24.
That is a... God, that looks like...
That's a canyon right there.
Stocks in my portfolio. Jeez. Jeez.
All the stocks in March.
Oh boy.
Okay, let's see. So, volatile top, mid lane, volatile, like very snowball-y.
I think I know this game. This game I'd managed to get the top laner. He was a random in Discord with me.
Oh, nice. I love that.
And I feel like I communicated like well with him. And then he just turned that into insane pressure this game.
All right, so mid, we give up on that because he lost the volatileness. Top lane, sweet. Bot lane, cool. They should... If Vi ganks them, they're in a rough spot. Like, they're pretty vulnerable with Maokai Vi, and also the Tristana can jump on top of them.
It's a strong all-in.
Top lane, it looks like you've already won it, and you're blue side. Okay, let's see. Let's see what happens. How much gold are you sitting on? All right, so you're relatively fresh off base. Top lane has a little bit of gold. You just killed top. Let's get that Herald. And the throw is, I think it's around this Drake because I see a Drake fight there. We'll see if we can diagnose what happens. Okay. So with this, where are you thinking of dropping the Herald? What are your options? Like, what are the pros and cons for each lane? Vi shows up out here.
I don't remember. I think I wanted to drop it top just because he was like in the best state. But then I saw the gank. And
Oh, don't let them take this. This is you. Like, no, be a man. Just be like, no, jungle.
Just hoard the resources for myself.
Just start start making monkey sounds and pick it up and then run to a lane and drop it.
Okay.
That's the official coach answer.
Okay.
But like,
okay.
Unless you have a split pusher who's just nasty and like he's already 5-0 at like 12 minutes, like take this for yourself. Because so the honest reasoning is that you're more likely to be in a fight than he is because you're everywhere on the map. And the best time to drop a Rift Herald is after a one team fight because then there's nobody to contest the push. You can drop it and you're guaranteed to get the turret.
It continues the momentum.
And also the selfish reason is that in solo queue you want to get more gold. And so like forget everybody else.
Forget these chickens.
I want that for myself. So he should have stayed mid. This guy shouldn't have come over in the first place to help with that. Like you don't need help. And then bot lane they both die, and so bot is weak side. Let's see, timer on Drake. It's already up. Don't contest that. You just head top side and you like help him shove this in. Do you have ultimate up? You have ultimate up. You could repeat dive her potentially, and then take plates and drop the turret. Or drop.
I think I could go for this. Oh yeah.
So you are
I
weak
just
side.
showed for free.
Yeah. If Aatrox isn't here at the beginning of the fight, you're gonna lose it. Like pretty much guaranteed. No vision is another thing. Like if you don't have vision, I mean, that's kind of game over. They were just coming off death timers. Yeah, this is all bad. So this is about playing around your win condition. So that was a 2v2 with your worst player. Like that's what it was at the end of the day. It was a 2v2, but it was you and someone who's worthless. And that's what it feels like. Because Caitlyn wasn't there to influence the fight. Swain wasn't there to influence the fight. Aatrox, most importantly, wasn't there to influence the fight. And so it was a 2v2 versus like two of their stronger players. Like Vi just because of her kit, like her lockdown. And then that disgusting abomination of a champ. And it could have been worse. They could have had more people in that fight. Like they could have just as easily had Maokai and Trish.
It gets worse soon.
Oh yeah, you keep going.
Yeah, I greeted.
Does he match the TP? She TP's first. You're already super low.
No, I was trying to tell him to, but he didn't hear me that time. So he just starts going to.
Yeah. So he's.
And we just give up almost all of our team shutdowns right there. And
you were in comms with this guy?
Yeah, it was going. It was going in and out.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So pretty much it starts.
To get him going.
I think if you stalled this and you delayed and you actually got the TP, this could have worked out. If
just
he was
hovered.
there. If you just hovered.
What do you think about even if Pantheon died, but if my bot lane arrived, is it still? Do I cut my losses because like everyone else is so much stronger? Or do I still hover and try to delay for the TP?
I'd give it up. I mean,
okay.
What Drake is this? This is a second Drake. It's a mountain. Cool. I mean, all right. It's not super important. Mid lane died, and like if nothing else, he's a distraction and a stun bot, and he eats damage.
Yeah.
But with that, like if you know that they're all going in for the Drake, so once you see Vi down there, I think the first idea is, okay, we trade this Drake for something. What can we trade it for? We could potentially get a top dive. Like this is a wave that's crashing in. If you catch her between the turrets before you have to tank, that's going to really punish her. Like even if you just go on her 1v1, and you chunk her out so that she can't contest this, you guys walk up, take plates off, drop Herald, and then you get this like full turret, and then their Drake call looks really stupid or like kind of inconsequential compared to the amount of gold that you get off the turret. The other options are that you could just clear your jungle. Like you could honestly
just power farm.
Just power farm. Like you're Hecarim, you're trying to get your Triforce, right? With the because you got the one component so far, 785. You need quite a bit more. And so you could just go down here and then whoop, full clear up, and then boom, you're around the important lane again.
Question: when's the appropriate time to? Because if you notice, like I've tabbies or sorry, plated steel caps.
Yeah.
Would that have gone better to like combat stats, like the Kindle gem instead?
Because the Kindle gem is Kindle gem is just your CDR, your ability haste.
Yeah, or the phage component. I don't think I could have full bought the phage, but I could have gotten the longsword and the ruby crystal.
I think the value that you get out of the plated steel cap. I hate that they changed that name too, man. I hate it so much.
I'm just gonna keep calling it tabbies.
Yeah, tabbies. I think the value that you get out of tabbies in this game is very high because they have 1, 2, 3, 4 champs that are gonna be hitting you and be doing primarily physical damage. And so I'm a fan. Like I'm okay with you rushing these earlier. But if you're sitting there with the decision and you're like 100 gold from your Triforce, or basically it's either you can full buy a Triforce or you can buy your tabbies. Like buy
core item completion.
Yeah, core item completion is gonna trump. So that's throw number 1. Then the other one was 24 minutes, right? That they threw or that you threw? I think you guys came back and then threw again.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of kills. Okay, let's see what's going on here. They take their third Drake, which is now soul point. And if you gave that up, it still would have been soul point. I mean, that wouldn't have fundamentally changed anything. Okay, so you see Vi topside, which I imagine is what starts off the fight. You don't have your ultimate, but it's 2v4. This should be doable.
Just on it, just.
I guess it was 4v4 because Swain wasn't there. Wow, that's disgusting. So it was 2v. It started out 2v4, and then it turned into a 4v4. Swain was dead. Let's see how you could have played this differently. So you lead with the E, because like mechanically speaking, you guys should always win a 2v4 if it lasts for more than like any amount of time. I mean, okay, let's see. All right, so you have your E is not up for another 10 seconds. That's kind of like your bare minimum for taking a fight. When you look at your team, the primary engage is the Pantheon, or like his stun. He just stunned somebody, followed up with Swain. Never mind, Swain's dead. So it's basically this guy, and then you guys just start hitting them. Your E is the only, but besides that is like the primary go button. Oh, you were charging it. You were charging your E this whole time.
Yeah, because
you just
I think I saw them. I think I saw them coming when I was going for my Krugs, and I was just trying to get out of there like earlier.
So you want to?
Yeah, they're there. Yeah, when our ability showed.
Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to isolate somebody with this, and you want to get them closer to this turret because they don't want to be near the turret. They're trying to get away from it. And so instead of like you end up knocking her into this wall, I think you could have separated her a little bit easier if you like went behind and pushed her back in, which it would have been kind of funky. How does this guy not get bursted down fast enough? He gets his Q up magically. R's out.
Really does her thing.
Man,
Just
that is
dumped on me. Tragic. I just want to give you front row seats to the circuits, coach. To the Clown Fiesta. Thank God for Aatrox that game. It paid off
Yeah.
in the end. But...
I mean, it's part of that is unlucky. I mean, my main thing is that I would just say ban Yone. That's a cop out answer for this specific fight. But I hate that champion. But the primary thing in those fights is like to isolate one person, and so if you could split them up, like using your E, without ultimate, of course, it gets a lot harder.
Right.
But it gets tough when like they have all the dashes and mobility. Because Yone still had his ult up, and then Irelia had, I think she used flash there to get out of it. Was that the big throw? That was only like that wasn't a huge swing. That was like
it's
3K
around,
swing.
Is it around Baron? I'm not.
This is like where you guys come back. I think
somewhere in. Okay. I feel like when they made Yone, they like got all the Yasuo plays together, and they're like, "What do you hate about Yasuo?" Well, I hate I get punished when I go in, and then that's how his E was.
I hate getting punished. Oh, also, another factor in this is Aatrox had 2100. Like when he's channeling, he kind of did need to back. He was sitting on 2 items, and I imagine he's gonna cash in his 3rd, like off of this reset. And at the end of the day, just to play a devil's advocate, like you aren't fighting over anything. Like there's no Drake, there's no Baron, there's nothing. Like even the red buff isn't up yet. So
I should have just paid to protect Caitlyn from the dive. Just hover.
Yeah, I think that would have been good deny. Like let Aatrox back, because I think if he has another item, this like he might have been able to do something on the back end here, or do more.
Right.
Yeah, he just dies there. Is he gonna get death stance? Yeah, so he finished his death dance, which would have been pretty nice for him to have in that last fight. And then you guys come back. Well, there's this other fight. Where is it? Oh, it's Aatrox. Yeah, I don't think you needed to be down here. What happened in there? Oh, Pantheon died at some point? All right. And then how did you guys come back into this?
I don't remember.
I think it's somewhere around here, like around this straight, because it's you're 3K down. And they already got soul, so this is Elder. I guess it's an Elder fight.
Yeah. I wanted to wait. Oh yeah, she gets caught. I mean, at that point, it's free, and then we get the Drake, and we just shove it down their throats, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Yone completely misses his R, isn't able to get anything off his E. Nice. That works. I like that you pulled the trigger with your ult. Like, you don't hesitate. You're like, if we kill the jungler, that's very good. I'm just gonna do it. No questions asked.
And then the Drake's ult still allows him to play without fear.
Yeah.
He's a monster at this point. I mean,
yeah, it's
12 and 2 and 14. I mean,
that item on him is insane.
I'm pretty lucky that he jumped at the voice chat. So
nice. Well, I think so. Remember we talked about so this game, the primary thing, unlike that first Drake, that first throw, was just being willing to deny stuff, or like to just give up things. Don't feel like you have to contest everything, especially if you're behind. Like, it's a second Drake, it's not a big deal. There's so much more downside than upside.
right. I played with my weakest player as well.
If you're playing with Aatrox, it's a little bit different, but he didn't TP it for whatever reason. He held it. And I think if he joined, that could have been better, but you still would have been waiting on the Swain and Caitlyn to join that fight a little bit later.
Okay. So just, it really, do you think you could, not to like jerk myself off, this game or anything, but early, could you point out some of the things in my thought process that I did like, that I should continue doing when I play Hecarim?
Yeah, let's see. So mid lane volatile. You actually have 3 volatile lanes. It's harder to gank bot lane than anything, so I wouldn't go for bot. But then mid top are both good.
I remember paying a lot of attention to top lane, just because he said Areli is a hard matchup for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone in the early game after Pantheon keeps dying. I don't gank him that much. Just died around Drake.
I think the 2v2 with you and Aatrox, I actually don't think that you guys win that with Aurelia Vi. I think that they win it. So you have to be very cautious of the counter gank top.
Right.
And mid.
Because they have more reliable, like, hard CC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the early game fights just come down to CC. Because damage isn't going to be like too skewed one way or another in the early game. But CC, especially timed well, does quite a bit. And so you're going to be pathing towards top. I think Hecarim is good for full clears. So like coming down to the Krugs afterward, hopefully. Nice, yep. Wait, did we catch his start? I'm assuming it's there. Well, we know that it's there because we can see the animations, but I'm pretty sure bot lane showed late, like their bot lane too. So then you're just matching her clear up into the top side. You're watching this. So like, okay. The wave is in a good spot for him for now. Oh, it crashed. Now it's going to bounce back. And then bot lane is a little bit shoved. And so it's like, okay, that's good ward timing. She's transitioned into her top side by now because you're clearing at about the same speed. Okay, wave is in a good spot for him. It's gankable, so you should be watching the mini map if she goes to ward. Okay, mid lane, he gets out, or he doesn't get out. Either way, there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, she's super low, so that means she can't do anything else. She has 16 CS, so your reaction should be to just go get in her face. Like, she's low. She used her flash. You're full health? Yeah, you're pretty much full health. Smite charge up. And so she should absolutely not get the scuttle crab. But you have a pretty good idea, like, that she full cleared her. Well, she cleared her buffs and then 2 camps. And so it's probably not her top side because she's Vi. She's more single target oriented. So she most likely took Gromp and then Wolves, which we know that she did in this case. I hate that there are map hacks, like that you can see what camps are down. And so you want to, like, you could gank top knowing that she can't answer it. That's an option with where it is. I don't know if you've seen her go to word yet, but you should do that before the scuttle spawns, I think, because otherwise you'll give her a chance to crash this wave and reset or get a ward, in which case it becomes ungankable because Aatrox wants to farm at turret.
Okay.
Farmer.
Yeah.
That probably just comes down to your first clear. Like, if you get your first clear more efficient, you just win that. Like, you would get there sooner. You could, like, harass her. So that just comes down to clear speed, honestly. And I think, and Nice says this, that a good way to just get really good at jungling is to obsess over your clear speeds. Because that'll make you healthier, that'll make you faster, and that'll give you more lane, like, map presence, because you can get to places on the map faster if you're just clearing like a maniac. So then she's top. You should have time to do this in the priority in bot lane, and also mid he's pushing in. Yone reset. And again, if you're going to smite it, if you're trying to just clear this as fast as possible, do it when you knock it back. Okay, so you have a good idea that she probably went into her top side. Your bot lane, it's going to push back into you unless they keep hitting it. So you have the option of invading for a ward here, except you don't have the ward. And she already ate your lunch once, so I would just go and clear this and then clear that because they're coming up. It's level 2 camps.
I think I just back here. Or do I go back to
That's kind of lazy. I'd rather you walk up because it might be dangerous to invade, like actually go take camps, but it's not that dangerous to walk up and just place it because you saw her exit into top side. So she would have had to like walk around and come back over here, or she would have had to recall and then walk out to her bot side. And so, you know, after taking this,
more time,
that you could walk up, hit the hit the scrying orb to deny it from her, and then place the ward right in here so that it spots the Gromp and then sees her exit which way she goes. And then you walk back here, you take your Krugs, you take your Raptors, and then you just clear into your top side and you're level 6. That would be my idea. Yeah, she's right there. I think you had more time with the priority. I'm pretty sure they could come over, like if she came through, because she did come through this. I think that you would have been safe, which is kind of unexpected that she came through here. I don't know how she got there. Let's see. She must have walked around mid, like right close to the turret. Yep. She walked. So she snaked around. She went like this, which is the fastest path that she could take. But if you smited this, like while it was CC'd, this wouldn't have mattered anyway. You would be leaving like as she was walking up.
Okay.
But that's nice. And if you were pushing it down towards bot, very good. And then you can just clear up because they're not in danger. They can let this push back into them. They keep hitting it though because they don't know wave control.
Yeah, and we spotted her out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. What I was hoping you would. Nice. Then, yeah, I'm fine with resetting here. You got 1100, so that's Phage control word. This is an opportunistic gank. Then you wait on it. Nice. I'm glad you got the kill and not him. And now you get an extra boots. So it should be Phage, boots, control word. Or Hearthbound. I actually don't know what's better. I actually like don't take that as gospel. Like you get a component, boots, and a and a control word. Doesn't matter which component it is. I don't play enough Hecarim to like have an authoritative voice on that. Okay, so she's shoving. I'm okay with pathing into this corner actually, because Scuttle is spawning. You won't be punished too hard. So you go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3 into Scuttle.
Yeah. Because
normally, if this wasn't a corner that you wanted to be in, you would go 1, 2 onto your bot side.
I remember just feeling kind of like committed to helping him out, just because we were voice comms together.
Yeah.
So.
He can freeze that, so you would just want to hover, make sure that she isn't able to bully him and crash it. So you like sit around here. Okay, it crashed anyway. Control ward down. You want to push that. Oh wait, yeah, she's pretty low. So if you don't go for her, just invade instead. Like, invade, see what's up. If we were at like advanced levels of tracking, you would already know like what camps were down. But without that, when you see her that low, you can just walk in and face check it. And if she walks up, then she dies.
So yeah, just a lot of. Looks like it's trending towards like being
nice.
Recognizing when I can be aggressive and greedy on those invades instead of playing conservatively and just like backing off.
Yeah, because it's been pretty conservative so far. But even with that, like your pathing, I mean, you're up 3 camps. This is really good, even without taking those aggressive avenues. Like you're farming really efficiently on Hecarim. And you aren't trying to force ganks. Like on the Sejuani, you were trying to force that bow lane gank before, and here you're just going for what's like pretty easy.
I didn't get any assists there. I remember thinking that was really tragic.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Then here, just clear code. And you haven't neglected Krugs as much. Like in the last game, you kind of left him out for a while.
Yeah. It just casts like a... just cascading value, you know? Like if you ignore them early, they're going to be more worthless for a longer time, you know?
Yeah. And like...
Side note, I remember watching that your Ivern, that Ivern challenger player was a scrub noob.
Oh, the Ivern player? That was a Jamaican banana.
Oh, yeah. I just remember thinking that was so funny. He's like, Krugs
don't exist,
like,
yeah.
Because they're so worthless what he has to clear.
Yeah, when you're playing Ivern, really it's funny. Like, it's so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. The weed daddy.
Because that's something that, like, you don't think of. If you don't play Ivern, and then you go, like, pick him up, but you aren't a one-trick, like, you never think of that. And then that brings us to this fight. Like, oh man, with all that context, with all the context of what we've seen up to this point, that makes this even worse. Of like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bummer. But your pathing to this point has been really solid. And another thing, I'll send a video that I think it was Skill Capture. Somebody made a video on like, is Drake overrated? And they kind of compared the amount of time that it takes to solo a Drake or to take a dragon in the early game compared to the value that you can get from clearing your camps or counter jungling. And I thought it was that it was pretty interesting and it was good food for thought. So I'll go find that and send that over to you as well, to help you kind of think of like, when should I be taking dragons? And it also gives you an idea of how hard you can punish somebody if they do invest like a full 30 seconds taking a Drake solo. Because
seems like everything's about efficiency.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you let them take a Drake for free and you aren't punishing them on the other side of the map, then it is worth it for them because they didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
So you have to be proactive about punishing them. Cool. I think that's most of this video. And then of course this reaction is good. This reaction is correct. You should take that. And
But
then,
I should have stayed on the
stay on the strong side. Stay on the strong side of the map.
Make monkey noises. Take the gold for myself.
And mute pings.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he trades. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks. No, you hit every single thing I wanted to go over. Thanks for taking so much time.
Yeah.
On your Thursday night. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one thing that I like to see you use in your games, like the next, we'll say 10 games, is that every time the enemy jungler shows on the map, whether that's their ganking or they show on a ward, or actually just on the map, that doesn't have to be the opposite side. I want you to like automatically assess what you're doing and say, should I change something or should I stick to the plan? Like even if the decision is like, okay, what I'm doing is good, I'll stick to it. That's fine. But I want every time that you see the jungler on the map in the early game, like from minutes 1 to 15, to ask yourself, should I change my plan? Should I do something different? And your thought process should be, can I gank? Like, can I counter gank this? Can I gank on the opposite side? Can I take an objective on the opposite side? Can I counter jungle? And so like you should go through and see like, okay, what can I do where I'm at every time that the enemy jungler shows up? Because that's them giving you information. And if you don't use that information effectively, like use it against them, then they're getting away with stuff for free. And so I want you to always be able to punish them or to think about how you could punish them. Because otherwise they're getting basically agency for free that you need to look for opportunities to reactively abuse them.
Got it. Okay. All right. I wrote all of that down.
Word for word.
Well, I wrote every time enemy jungler shows reassess Koa, which means course of action. So
yeah,
more or less, right? Condensed.
No, that nailed it. Sweet. Well, I'll upload this up to that YouTube channel. It probably won't be today because of how long YouTube takes to upload with my internet speeds. But then I'll send you the link and I'll put the notes that I have for that for the Sejuani game on there as well.
Got it. Thank you very much, Coach.
Yeah, and if you have any other questions, feel free to hit me up, and I'll look forward to our next session.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. Good night.
Have a good night.